Representing easily the largest fully mobile space vehicle in human history, the Wanderer-class Deep Space Explorer Platform is a vast multi-role installation, built to serve as a deployable forward staging ground for long-range exploratory operations, a fully stocked colony ship for establishing distant planetary settlements, and a resource processing and assembly facility to allow for the construction of new drift gates in deep space. Only 2 vessels of the type have ever been commissioned, and each was constructed only to meet the needs of the most difficult and ineffaceable feats of exploration ever undertaken. At a length of 900 meters along the vertical axis and a radius of 803 meters across the widest of its centrifuge rings, the structure of the Wanderer class is built around a central column running from the ship's massive drive cone to the tip of its command tower, and flanked by 3 enormous centrifuge rings arranged in a counter-rotating stack. The platform carries a standing crew of 4,850, as well as a vast maximum population of almost 40,000 passengers and colonists, with space for years' worth of consumable supplies and construction materials. While the majority of the platform's frame naturally functions under spin gravity, the central column and command deck employ drift-powered paragravity fields to maintain standard gravity conditions across a horizontally arranged deck plan when not under thrust. The first of the Wanderer's 3 centrifuge rings is the upper service ring, which carries much of the vessel's supply of liquid water and solar batteries, as well as featuring a number of large docking berths for embarked vessels. These bays feature highly adjustable clamps that can accommodate vessels ranging from transport schooners to small warships. The ring also includes most of the facilities traditionally demanded by a civilian port, such as traffic control centers, loading equipment, utility drones, and retractable tender arrays for manually repairing or refueling larger craft. The massive central habitat ring of the Wanderer platform contains most of the living quarters for staff and colonists aboard the platform, as well as the many laboratory suites and research centers demanded by long-range exploration. The outer edge of the ring also includes large public concourses filled with commercial and recreational facilities for residents and staff, essentially functioning as a modest port city in space. In total, these facilities only amount to roughly a quarter of the central ring. The remaining space is taken up by colossal cargo and loading bays, used to house years' worth of colony supplies and mission equipment, as well as vital assembly components for the construction of a return drift gate. The platform's lower service ring is dedicated primarily to the construction and support facilities needed for the assembly of a drift gate in deep space. While the largest industrial components of the gate are carried by accompanying gate haulers, the facilities of the lower service ring allow for the in-situ resource gathering and processing needed not only to complete the assembly of a return gate, but to supply the general needs of the platform. The lower ring features docking bays much like those of the upper ring, but marked for support vessels engaged in water and mineral harvesting duties, whose cargoes can be immediately processed into usable resources by on-board facilities. The lower ring also carries a huge contingent of maintenance and construction drones to facilitate the assembly of the return gate from its base components. The Wanderer's upper command tower houses the primary operations deck from which all platform operations are commanded. This area has many similarities to the quarterdeck of a military vessel, but with a notable civilian influence to its styling. The deck is designed to serve not only as a control center, but also as a diplomatic embassy and conference facility for multinational representatives and expedition department heads. Beneath the main command tower lies the primary shuttle bay, with 4 points of access across the circumference of the tower. This bay carries, as standard, 2 flights of S-36 Stardancer Space Superiority fighters for basic escort and scouting duties, as well as a number of Fletcher TS longboats and other personnel and cargo transports for use as intra-fleet shuttles or as part of planetary away missions. The original Wanderer platform was designed and constructed in the late 2030s as a means of colonizing the distant Firewatch system on the northwestern frontier of the Tantalus cluster. Firewatch is the brightest star in Tantalus, a red giant of colossal proportions that presented a lethal risk to any spacecraft attempting to reach the system using an inaccurate single-gate drift transit. Faced with the potential of a catastrophe far worse than even the Great Marician Exile, It was decided that the safest course of action was to launch an expedition at high sublight velocities across the gulf between Rialtis and Firewatch, and to construct a new drift gate on-site to connect the system to the existing gate network. Taking almost 8 years to reach its destination, the Wanderer expedition proved a historic success, with the platform successfully colonizing Firewatch 2 and constructing a return gate within 3 years. By the time the system was rejoined with the rest of Tantalus, the Firewatch 2 colony was already remarkably prosperous, and the system quickly became a celebrated cultural jewel of the Centrum Assembly, with the Wanderer expedition and its leaders being hailed as some of the greatest pioneers in human history. In the 60 years since the Wanderer platform was launched, the Tantalus cluster has fallen into the darkest chapter of its long history. Many years of war and famine have left humanity on the precipice of extinction, and the only desperate hope for salvation is a strange nebula of unknown origin and contents that has suddenly appeared in the night sky. The task of traveling to this mysterious frontier through a new and advanced driftgate falls to a second Wanderer platform, constructed through the combined efforts of the 3 nations of Tantalus and bearing the name Avalon. Accompanied by a multinational fleet and commanded by Director Elizabeth Onsalé, the Avalon now voyages beyond the farthest reaches of human understanding, in search of new lands and resources to save the people of Tantalus from annihilation.